There were once more than 4,000 tobacco farms in this province, but as smoking became public health enemy number one, that number crashed. Now, new markets may mean a comeback. With us from our studio at Western University in London, Mary Baxter, our Southwestern Ontario Hub editor. Welcome to the show, Mary.
It's good to be here, Jayann.
Now, a lot of people, particularly those living in the cities, may not even realize that there are tobacco farms in this province. Can you give us a sense of how they're being harvested and where in Ontario?
Well, tobacco is being grown mostly in the Sand Plains region, which is an area, it covers basically 4 counties. Brant, Elgin, Middlesex, Oxford, and Norfolk counties. I think I got them all. And it's also, that's the main area of production. Another type of tobacco is grown in Chatham-Kent, but that's a very small crop. In the Sand Plains, believe it or not, they harvest about 23 million kilograms a year. That sounds like a big number. I'm going to give you another one that's even bigger, because that actually translates into about 28 billion cigarettes in a year. And if you think that number's big, just listen to this. 28 billion cigarettes is just like less than 2 days worth of supply for the global demand for cigarettes. Just less than 2 days worth.
That's a lot of cigarettes for sure. Now, I want to get an idea of kind of how that amount has changed over the decades, because it seems like there is an increase in demand.
Yes, actually, tobacco has been grown in Ontario for many, many decades. And it was once, as our introduction talked about, it was once a very large crop, but it started to dwindle. One of the big reasons is, of course, public health campaigns to get people to stop smoking, weaken the demand for cigarettes here in Canada, and to the point that in 2005, Imperial Tobacco, which was one of the big companies that bought tobacco here in Ontario, announced that it was going to move its production and its manufacturing to Mexico. So that just pretty well pulled the rug out from under the market, and prices went down, but so did acreage. It just plummeted in terms of how much that they were actually producing. So then what happened was the federal government decided to give growers a buyout. Tobacco growers for many, many years were supply managed. So the federal government bought back the quota essentially for most, but not all growers, and allowed them to get out of that business and to perhaps launch into another type of crop or to retire. But there were still a handful of growers who kept growing. And one of the things about the buyout was that one condition was that the former growers couldn't grow themselves, but nothing stopped them from sharing their knowledge or expertise with others. And sometimes what happened, even within families, the parents might have taken the buyout, but then helped advise children perhaps on how to grow tobacco and to continue on in the business. But the big question is where were they selling it? As it turns out, what I was told was a lot of that is going to markets in places like China. And in China, there's with the growth of the middle class, there's more demand for cigarettes, and the Canadian tobacco is considered a bit of a luxury item. It's just a very good quality product. So even though domestic demand has been reducing here in Canada, and the growers only have a portion of that domestic demand because a lot of it is being supplied by imports, there's this other demand that's happening in China, which has allowed them to maintain their production.
Now, I'm curious to know, something that we've seen quite popular of late is vaping. Does that have anything to do with the resurgence of Canadian tobacco?
That's I asked that question actually to both those who are growing it and tobacco and those who are involved in public health. And they said, right now you really can't make a connection. The main perception is that smokers are using vaping as a way to get off of cigarettes, so that there's going to be a rise in demand, but it's simply kind of like a replacement thing. So overall, there's no rise in demand, except recent research is showing that with youth, vaping is, the popularity of vaping is going up. Researchers think that there's a couple of things behind there, a new product and also the legalization of vaping. And they're also seeing that rates of smoking in that age group have plateaued. For years they've been reducing, and but all of a sudden they've just started to plateau. So there's a concern that there might be a leap from vaping into smoking in that age group. So who knows? It's still a question mark, but public health officials are concerned.
Something I'm curious about, you had touched on the public health campaigns that may have caused the decrease in tobacco consumption, but how does the federal and provincial government's stance on smoking compare to its stance on tobacco?
Well, as we know, their stance on smoking is quite restrictive. In fact, this week we've just seen the introduction of new packaging regulations, which are touted as being some of the toughest in the world, if not the toughest. So we see that type of thing happening, but at the same time, although there have been suggestions at the provincial level to reduce and just eliminate tobacco production in the field, and at the federal level, there's also been some suggestions that somehow that crop should be capped. We haven't really seen governments take up those suggestions.
All right, Mary, well, it's always a pleasure. Very interesting story as well. You can catch it on our website at tvo.org. Thanks again.
Thanks, Jan.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.